Well, good morning.
Good morning.
It's a morning.
Yeah, that was a forced good.
It was what?
It was a forced good instead of just saying
Oh.
morning.
It's just, I don't know, like, kind of like I talked in the live last night, like, it takes me a few days to wind down from a trip, and then it kicks my butt. And, I mean, I did spend quite a bit of time in the garden this morning, harvesting, pinning up tomatoes, culling out certain things, and I will be, or you'll all be happy to know, I think the Tums thing worked, y'all. Because I know that when I was doing it, there was a few comments about, oh, you forgot to put Tums in those. Yeah, I ended up culling out the tomato plants in the tubs that I missed the Tums because blossom end rot.
Yeah. So definitely, I mean, it tells us there's a calcium deficiency in that soil, which is not surprising because I don't think, other than the Tums, we didn't add anything.
I added bone meal, blood meal. I added blood meal.
Has that got calcium? That's what I'm saying. I mean, other than the Tums, I don't know if there was anything direct that we put in there that would have gave it a calcium supplement.
Other than the Tums.
And we don't. I know we've said it before, but we don't. We haven't done soil samples of what we have. Like, we just, hey, this sounds good.
Hey, it sounds great. Let's do it.
Just because we're buying the dirt, which, yeah, there's all kinds of scientific stuff for planting and getting the most out of your crops and that kind of stuff.
And we did go and get some tomato and vegetable food. So I think that they really need it. The heat has really done a number, on that, which there again, like you said, is just more proof that we need to, get the shade cloth for next year. I sat here this morning and I was just telling Jason, like, I feel so overwhelmed. It's of my own making, so don't feel sorry for me. I'll sit here and have a pity party for myself, and I'll pull up my big girl panties and I'll carry on. But yeah. And
it is, and it's just, and I think it's that culmination of things, guys. Like, we came back from the trip, and there's always overwhelmness, whether it's a 1 day, 2 day, or a 2 week trip, of coming back home and going, okay, what do we gotta fix? What, like.
And then it just seemed like the cars.
Yeah, then the vehicles have been giving us fits. You guys know the AC in the truck is still down, but the truck's up and running, so that's fine. That's a comfort level thing. It can still do everything that we want it to do and be able to function there, just not as comfortable. Then Jake come out yesterday and was like, man, something's quite not right with the car. So
my car.
We ran in the car, and it drove fine at first, and then we were heading home, and then it started acting up a little bit. And we talked about it on the live last night, but if you guys didn't catch it, it could be a caliper issue. I don't know. Like, that's something I've got to investigate in, because it could be something more serious. And if that's the case, then, we've got to get Jake's truck up and running, because it's sitting there not running. And it's just, when you pile up all the vehicle issues, because then right before we left for Mississippi, the tractor went down. And
so I'm telling you what, when it rains, it pours sometimes, but I bind whoever's throwing out some bad mojo. Like, honestly, like, if it's you and you're throwing out some bad mojo, I bind you right now, and I throw that bad mojo right back at you.
As we're looking at a collapse shelter again, y'all.
Yeah, I'll turn it around for you guys to see, because canopy number 3, down and out. Yep.
Yeah, and you would have thought after the first 2 that we would be like, hey, there's a chance of rain, we should bring it in. But it was sitting where it's literally just the rain coming from the sky, but it must have rained really, really, really hard, really fast, because even this Harbor Freight shed was full of water again, which every time it rains, we have that issue. But I come out this morning, and I woke up at 2:30 this morning.
I don't know, and he realized that he'd left the windows down in the truck.
Yeah, because we were gonna take the truck for a ride yesterday, and then when Jake said that the car had issues, we took it. And amongst trying to get everything ready and come in for the evening, I didn't roll my windows of my truck up because I'd been keeping them down so it wasn't so hot. 2:30 in the morning, my brain wakes me up and says, "Hey, your windows are down, idiot." And yeah, so that got soaked. I mean, that's fun, but luckily there's big rubber mats in there, and
Poured
everything's
them out this morning.
drying out. But I noticed that the shelter was collapsed, and I was just like, that's just awesome, you know. And I don't know. We could be mad and upset about it. It's aggravating, it is, guys, but we just have to keep moving on. I mean, we look at the good things and the positive things. All the animals are doing great. The garden, honestly,
doing phenomenal.
for it probably being nutritionally deficient because we don't soil sample, it is doing phenomenal. I mean, she's getting
ready to
what, a bushel at least a day right now?
Oh, minimum. I actually have 5 half-gallon jars of sauce in the fridge separating, and I bought a siphon. I always want to call it a sieve, but a siphon to like siphon out all the juice at the bottom. But there really isn't any. Only in like one jar, which would have been like the redo when I take the pulp and I put it back through. And between that and then I've got to break out my squeegee thing again and do another bushel. So I am going to make a humongous pot of pizza sauce.
Mm-hmm.
We eat a lot of pizza through the year. I make all the homemade crust and everything, and pudgy pies when we camp, and a lot of things you can use the pizza sauce for. So I went and I harvested a bunch of oregano this morning, tons of oregano. So I'm going to be able to use fresh oregano in it and basil. And then I'm going to be using my new dehydrator and dehydrating the rest of the oregano. That video is still in progress because I want to show everything that I'm dehydrating, but it takes a while. So be on the lookout for that because I'm loving it. And what else do I need to do? We harvested potatoes. Not as many. We clearly saw our air because it went from clay to that good stuff. And the potatoes pretty much stopped at the clay. So they really didn't have a place to blossom out.
Yeah, and we didn't mound them. I mean, this was an experiment, and honestly, it was still successful.
Oh yeah, I have a whole, those big kitty litter buckets. I got a whole thing of potatoes. I've had them out drying for the last couple days,
Yeah.
so I brought those in.
Because it was last year we got none. We put them in that bed, and of course we knew. And for those you've been around long enough, I told you I didn't know what I was doing, and it was proof.
Yeah.
But we put them in a more of our natural clay soil that we had dug up and scraped off the surface.
And they didn't do well.
And they didn't do well at all. It just, the clay holds too much water, and they
And y'all
rotted.
give me too much credit. For some reason, I get a master gardener label. Y'all, I'm not. Like, I totally am not. And a lot of it is trial and error. Unfortunately, we've been fortunate.
Well, and I think
So-
like with the tomato situation, when you start looking at it, like we definitely have less plants with the blossom end rot this year. Last year, that killed us with the blossom end rot. But I think the Tums, the whole calcium deficiency deal, definitely. But the other part is, we probably could get the same amount of tomatoes with half the plants if we would learn and pay enough attention to the nutrients. So the caveat to that is we just plant a whole lot of them. And, if we're only getting half what that plant's potential of harvest is, well, that's still a lot for us.
And I'm already getting zucchini on the second planting of zucchini. We pulled out the old zucchini plants that looked diseased, and there's some aphids there, so I did pick up some more 7 dust. I'm really pleased with that. Getting ready to start a third planting of zucchini. And what else? My grape plant. Holy wow, my grapevine. It was kind of like on one side of the greenhouse, on the outside is where I did the grape. But on the inside, I have some tomatoes and peas. And it kind of all blended in until I really got to looking, and holy wow, the grapevine. And I'm going to have to like very meticulously remove the tendrils of the grape off of the greenhouse because I can't leave it there because I've got to cover the greenhouse again this fall. So I'm amazed and blown away at that.
Well, and I think that's one that we didn't get planted last year. So we bought new ones this year. Well, we got them planted, then the frost hit them, and because they were starting to get leaves and everything. Well, then the frost hit them, boom, sent them right back into being dormant.
It's like a 2-year dormancy.
But then we looked, and the ones from last year that were still in the bags that we bought them in because we didn't get them in the dirt, all of a sudden they were starting to grow. And so we planted them, and yeah, they're supposed to come back every year. And with us not knowing the exact location of where we want a vineyard, orchard area, being in the tubs is fine, but yeah, we're gonna have to come up with a solution that maybe that thing's a little more mobile. Or
it just reminds me of everything we have to do yet. If you've been with us for a while, we just jumped in. We jumped in whole hog, minus the hog, but
you would have them if I wouldn't have said no.
We went from bare land to full-on homesteading immediately. I don't know. I think it's still wise because food was the most important aspect.
Yeah.
But then you sit back when you're this far in and go, okay, now we have to look at the whole big picture. And the whole big picture seems a little overwhelming, or I'm just tired. And that could be too.
Well, I think that's part of it because honestly, the money that we've saved already with doing the gardening and having the animals, like, it does take time away from us, but you have to do a cost comparison. So
the chickens and the
our
rabbit
homestead
food.
is our life, that is our job. Mm-hmm. So our time really, we have a value to it, but we don't really put that number on there, like, because it's stuff that we're building, and it does make things a little bit slower. But there is a cost value to having to go to the grocery store and buy everybody your food.
Yeah.
And we can put a number on that. And that number is significant when it looks at the savings.
What y'all are paying for groceries and stuff.
Yeah. And so our time, we have plenty of it. And we can give that as freely as we'd want.
We have what?
Well, we do in the sense of we don't have 9 to 5s to go clock in and give somebody else our time. Like, our time is going to us to build this. And we save in the fact that, one, we're not taking time away from the homestead to go work and make somebody else richer, and we're also not paying somebody to come in and do all these projects. And
yeah, you
so,
take it on as your
yeah,
own. And we're not belly aching, guys. We're really not.
No,
we're sharing with you the realities of homesteading. I think a lot of times it gets romanticized, and people are like, oh, I want to do that. And because all they see are the good stuff, right? But this is the realities of it, and we're sharing that with you because not every day is butterflies and roses. There's a lot of hard work to it, and sometimes your mental state.
We don't
is
even
just,
have roses here.
I know, I want roses, but
we'll get them in time.
Yeah, but yeah, sometimes it just feels like you're getting that bad mojo, and if you ever know about vibrational energies, you know what I'm talking about, folks. If you don't, just do a quick Google search and you'll see. So yeah, I'm putting a stopper on that bad mojo because I'm ready for some flourishing without stuff breaking.
Well, it's part of the triage, yeah. And honestly, guys, my level of frustration yesterday was almost to its tipping point, just because we'd already had the issues with the truck. We had the issues with the tractor. And then Jake comes up, and it's not his fault, guys. It's not. I mean,
my car's not new. I mean,
right.
I bought it fairly new, and I paid it off, and I continue to have it.
It's part of the ownership of any kind of vehicle or equipment, right? Is you're going to use it. Ideally, that's why you bought it, was to be able to use it. And it's going to break. It's going to have failures. And the nice thing is, hey, once you fix it, the only problem I have with the car right now is I think it's the caliper that I've already replaced is giving me fits already. But quality of parts these days is not worth a darn either. So.
I mean, and don't get me wrong, like, there was a part of me yesterday that was like, I wonder if we take my car, which still has great value because I've kept it so nice. Of course, it needs detailed from, Jake driving it, but, it's still a really nice vehicle, low miles. And yeah, the thought has occurred to me, do we take my car and the truck and trade it in on a more reliable F-150? The thoughts crossed my mind, but there's that worrisome part of me that says I can't give up my car. It's just the way my brain works. So there's that. So I want it fixed. I want it fixed, and I have no intentions of getting rid of it. It's still an amazing car. It's been my favorite vehicle ever, and I want to keep it. And so, but yeah, we have a lot of stuff to get done. We're just trying to form a game plan, because with the car down right at the moment, we have to make sure Jake has a ride to work. So it's, do we divide and conquer? Does he just go ahead and run him in and come back? Do we go together? Do we need a thrift day to kind of recoup? And then I can finish canning tonight. We're not sure what we're going to do today, guys.
No, because it's, that's, I think, once again, and it's not a horrible thing to have, but when you want to be productive, it is, and the fact that everything's an option.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, we could sit here and be woe is me and just pout about it all day long, but we're gonna find something.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I guarantee you, by the time we go to bed tonight, we're gonna feel better about what we did and what happened. Even if there's some inconveniences in that process, we still go to sleep at the end of the day and we're like, hey, no matter what, like, it might not be as much as we wanted, or it might not be, the thing that we thought we were going to do that day, but we still did something, and we made progress every single day. And
we really haven't had a thrift day in a while. And I think that too could be part of my disconnect too, is I'm used to, and this is in no way, shape, or form any derogatory thing towards anyone here on the Ridge, but I'm used to me and my husband having time, just us. And when we don't have just us, I feel like a disconnect. And and I'm not saying that in any way, shape, or form to be bad, but it's just kind of a call out to me that we need our time where it's just he and I. That's so important, especially when a lot of times here lately we've been divide and conquering. I thought maybe we could get on the mill together today, but with the rain, everything's soaking wet, and that's not an option.
yeah.
So we can't mill today. And knowing I got to make this sauce, or the sauce will go bad. So just all those little things. Like, I really know that we should divide and conquer, but in my heart, I'm saying I need my husband, and I need just some time with him, where we're not, pulled one way or another outside of us. And I just think that's really important, especially if you're just starting out homesteading and you're just starting building, take that time to be together, to stop. And we've been on the go, that even sometimes when we are together, our brains aren't. My brain's over here thinking about this, and his brain's over here thinking about that. And so truly we're not, even though we're together, we're not together. And wow, I didn't know it was going to go this direction. We never know. We don't script these things.
And it's, that is part of it, guys. And we've talked about it a lot of times, and we'll keep talking about it because it's a very important aspect. And even if you're not homesteading, just your daily life, right, is you need mental health days. You need days of going to do something. And typically, yes, when you're talking about going to do it, or even while you're doing it sometimes, you're going to be at a point that you're like, man, I really should be doing something else, or I should be doing, even if it's a home project or something like that. But if you don't take the time with your partner or your spouse and have a one-on-one, go out on a date night, go out on a date day, do whatever that is. We only get one trip around this earth, and if you don't take advantage of enjoying that time. Like nobody wants to just work, right? Now we know it's a necessity.
And we have
right?
a lot to do.
Whether we're working here to build our homestead so that we can have food for ourselves later and shelter, or it's you're, working at a company or a factory so that, your bills are paid. And
But what does it all mean if that whole process has pulled you and your partner apart?
yeah. Because I see it more in the, I'll call it the corporate world, right? Everyone that does the 9 to 5 is, you're making great money, and I've seen it time in and time out, even when I was in the Marine Corps and I talked to friends that didn't join the military, and they're like, man, you're always on vacation, you're always on leave. And I was like, well, not always, I earn enough days of leave every month that I can take vacation every couple months. But I watched them work in these factory jobs or corporate jobs, and they would get 50, 60, 70, 80 hours a week, right?
I did it.
And they've got a nice home and a nice vehicle, a nice boat, and they have all this stuff. And then you're like, hey, when was the last time, when there's cobwebs on the boat? Hey, you've got, whatever, this piece of equipment sitting over there, and, it's got cobwebs and dust on it.
You have an $80,000 camper that has sat in the same spot for 2 years. Because you've been too busy working to go use it.
Right. And so, it's, we both understand that, hey, that's just where the world has gone, to where you have to work so much to be able to afford those things. But for us, it's one of those that, we don't require a lot of funding, right? We don't. What our things require is a very, very inexpensive. And I say that knowing that we have some big purchases coming up. But those are purchases that we're going to benefit from for, the rest of our lives anyways. So, that's a justifiable purchase. But, I guess there's a comfort. And I know a lot of you out there are trying to work towards that debt-free lifestyle. And it's these small changes, and your mentality. A lot of it is your mentality of how you handle that situation. Like I said, there's nobody would be upset or say we're unjustified if we curled up on the floor in a ball in the fetal position
and cried for a couple hours.
Right. Like there wouldn't be not one person that we know that would fault us for that. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to, hey, you know what? We're going to take a benefit. All of these things are happening, and a lot of it, I look at it as, hey, it's telling us to slow down. And guys, we've already taken one step of that. And as much as it hurt to do it, by canceling our Michigan trip. We had just too much going on. And I think thinking forward basically overwhelmed us more, because we're like, okay, we have these days to get up there and get back.
Yeah.
And then when we get back, it's going to be hit the ground running, because people are coming to visit and we're going to do things. And, so there honestly has been there's been a breath of fresh air, of calmness, of knowing, okay, now we don't have to throw that 10 days into the loop of things. Like, we can have that time to now work on some other projects. And I think it's been hard too the last 2 days, where we've been in heat advisories.
Yeah.
Heat indexes of
we'd no more than
over
get chores
115.
done. And you can't be outside. It's unhealthy to be outside. And, I tried to busy myself every single way possible inside the tiny house yesterday to do some things that I've been needing to do on the computer. And we got the bonfire store up and running. Just trying to take care of those things so that every day I try to accomplish something. I don't like the feeling I have if I've just wasted a day. I try to think about my life at the end, and I don't want to have a lot of regrets. I don't want to have all I did was lay on the couch and I wasted my whole day. That's a day you can't get back. So try to accomplish something every single day, no matter how little it is, and just keep putting one foot in front of the other, and you bind that bad mojo, and you just believe for some more positive mojo. So send us some positive mojo. Send us your prayers, and if you're sending out the bad mojo, shame on you. Shame on you, shame on you. You just keep that to yourself. But, all right, well, we got to get moving now.
You're so cute. I love you.
I love you.
But yeah, guys, so we're gonna get to it. We're going to do something today. Not sure what it is yet, and that's the best part about it is
Breakfast, I think.
yeah. Oh, breakfast is first for sure, and then we'll figure out the rest of the day.
I'm doing Chinese tonight, y'all.
I'm excited. All right, we'll see you guys.
Bye.